Hey y'all, it's your friendly neighborhood therapist, and I want to get something straight with everybody real quick because I'm noticing that we are talking more about the tradition of hazing and it being a problem and it always having been a problem. And I'm glad that the conversations are being had because, like I told y'all, you got to advocate for what's right. We have to be people of integrity. You don't only do the right thing when people are watching. You don't only do the right thing when it's easy. You do the right thing at all times, and that includes right now. Now, one would think that right now the heat is all on Black Greek letter organizations, fraternities specifically, because this started with a situation with a fraternity and sororities, right? Here's what I'm going to advocate for what's right, but I'm also going to speak with nuance and tell the truth because we're not going to make Black Greek letter organizations a scapegoat either because hazing didn't start with us. Let's be real clear. So I've heard a bunch of different commentary. Like, for example, I made the statement based off of research that hazing began all the way back in about 4 BC during Plato's time, right? If you don't know who Plato is, Google's your friend. Plato's time, and it began in the universities. According to research, the concept, the act of what hazing is, began in the university. First year students would be hazed or tormented, demeaned, belittled, all these things to test them and to see if they could make it through, right? So I had somebody ask, well, it's funny to me how the the tradition started with white people basically. Why did black people take it on? Well, that's a nuanced situation historically speaking. You have the concept of being colonized, you have the concept of being oppressed, you have the concept of wanting a seat at the table, and to want a seat at the table, you got to do what they do, right? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. All those concepts come into play, and it's a lot more, but I ain't gonna go super deep. But this is what I will say. I had someone say today, or I heard someone say today, it's funny how y'all, they were speaking about, members of fraternities and sororities. It's funny how y'all can speak out about the hazing, but not leave the organizations where the hazing occurs. Let me be clear, in case y'all not aware. If everyone left every organization where hazing occurs, there would be nothing. Literally, there would be not only fraternities and sororities. That's like extra. There would be no colleges. There would be no churches. There would be no police departments. There would be no bands because hazing happens in the band too. Let's be clear. May Caleb Wilson rest in peace, but he was a band member, and hazing absolutely happens in band. I was in band. Where was I at? Naming places. The military. I am a military spouse. I know plenty of people who are in the military. Hazing happens in the military quite often, actually. Again, the police force, fire departments, churches, bands, universities, other clubs and organizations, honor societies, government, anywhere where you can move up in ranks, or you have to be invited or initiated, or you have to become a member. Anywhere where you hear member, hazing occurs, period. So if we all said, well, let's not just call out hazing, let's leave the organizations. That's not even that's not even wise because a lot of these organizations still have beneficial and positive functions. There is so much that so many different organizations have done for their community, for the schools that they are at, for just in general. Like, if everybody decided tomorrow we leave in the military because they haze in the military, which they couldn't, you can't just leave the military. But if everybody decided that, let's say you could, the US wouldn't have a military. A country with no military is never mind. Anyway, I just want y'all to be a little bit more realistic. One, I don't want you to make Black Greek letter organizations a scapegoat. Two, I am still going to talk about this and call it out and call out the fact that the problem resides within. Just like those of y'all who grew up in church and you know the scripture that states judgment begins in the church, like it starts here, it starts with us. Yeah, same here. Judgment begins in house with us. If we can't be transparent and honest about what goes on and how so many people perpetuate it, and that's why it's still going on, then we already have a problem. It should never take for other people to call you out on your bullshit. You face it. You look in the mirror. You fix it. So again, I say to so many members, who are a part of the D9. Stop with the paper versus made. Stop with the romanticizing your process. I went through, man, y'all ain't go through what we went through. We really wanted to be like, that's no proof that you really wanted to be a part of something. That's proof that you could get your ass beat. Because a lot of people who went through those very processes, got their ass beat, ain't even financial right now. But you really wanted to be a part, right? A lot of people who went through the process, got their ass beat after undergrad and all the step shows and parties, they don't participate. So are we going to be real or not? Are we going to be honest or not? Because at the end of the day, it does not prove that you truly want to be active in an organization because you go through hazing. All it proves is that you really want to be in something, and you could have all kind of ulterior motives to that have nothing to do with what any of those founders intended for people who join these organizations. Because what are you actually doing? It's amazing to me that people can put on their para, they can show up for all of the events, they can show up for all of the boulets and the conclaves and all of these different things. That is not the gist of what it means to be in these organizations. These organizations are work. They are volunteering. They are helping your community. They are showing up. They are advocating. They are speaking out. They are doing all of that. This is why I get angry when, especially, I get angry when I hear anybody say that, oh, I'm not political. I don't deal in politics. I don't talk about those things publicly. You know what? Okay. But I really get upset when D9 members say that. Because what? You supposed to be at the forefront of everything. You always supposed to open your mouth and speak. So yeah, I just, to be clear, for as much as I am going to hold my own accountable, I'm a member of an organization. That organization is a part of the D9. All of us need to be accountable to speaking out on this. But as much as I'm going to do that, I'm also not going to let people say, "Oh, it's only y'all." Hell no, it's not. Mm-mm, you will not. You will not. It didn't even start with us. Now, I am quite sad that we did choose to mimic another culture and what they were doing. But again, I explained that earlier why that probably happened. But also for the Black community specifically, I'm speaking to y'all now, to my people. We have really got to get out of this mindset that you have to break someone in order to build them up. Who, like, we know where that comes from. That is also historical. That is also based on being oppressed and all of that. We got that. But when are we going to stop that? It's 2025. We can't tell other people that we want to be treated right and then continue to perpetuate bullshit within our own communities, within the in group. That's wrong as hell. You don't have to break somebody to build them up. You don't have to put somebody into pieces and then make them into what you want them to be. They already came to you whole. Leave them as such, please. You can impart wisdom and teach and do all that without breaking a person down, because that's another thing that hazing is often used for. That's what they'll tell you those processes are for. We got to break y'all down so y'all can be built up together. Bullshit. No, you don't. And you don't have to go about it the way you're going about it, even if you had to. But that's something that we need to work on as a people. You don't got to do that. That happens with parents and children too. I got to make sure you go through something to. No. So yeah, I just wanted to come and clarify because I'm seeing quite a few people use this as like the standard of hazing. No, we are not the standard. We are a part of a problem, and we need to remove ourselves from being a part of that problem. And we need to stop romanticizing stuff that literally puts people in the ground. All right, y'all. That's all I got. You can tell me your thoughts, whatever may have you. But yeah, I really like, look into the history of things before you make certain statements. Look into the scope of things before you make statements. It is very unrealistic to say if you want to advocate against hazing, then you need to leave the organizations that haze. Again, there would be no organizations, none. Hazing occurs in family systems. Hazing occurs everywhere. It's wrong everywhere, but it occurs everywhere. So it is unrealistic to say just leave. Not when you can fight to make change. Because you know what you sound like? You sound like the same people who say, if you're not happy here, then go back to Africa. Sorry, that's just how I heard that. If you don't like it here, then leave. versus you don't like it here, so fight for change. There are things that are great about this organization, but there are things that are bad about this organization, and we need to fight to change the bad. We need to fight to change the mindsets that keep perpetuating the bad. We need to fight to make sure that what the founders intended is what is still occurring. Like, that's the idea of advocacy. You fight for change. You don't just tuck your tail between your legs and leave. All right, that's all I got. Y'all have a beautiful, wonderful rest of the evening, and I will holler at y'all later.